Okay, so hey guys, this is KMCers whatever. I'm Kiersten, and today's video is another true crime video. This case is very well known, but I've been following it since the beginning, and I've been really curious with the outcome of this, and I just want to just share this case with y'all. So let's just jump right into this, shall we? Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Tylee Ryan and Jj Valo. So Tylee Ryan was born on September 24th of 2002. She was 16 at the time that she went missing. She was living in Rexburg, Idaho. Her parents are Joseph Ryan, who has passed away, and Lori Vallow. And she was last seen on September 8th of 2019, and she was last visiting the Yellowstone National Park with her family. That is the last time anybody has seen her. So let's talk about Jj Valo. So Joshua Jj Valo, he was born on May 25th of 2012. He was 7 years old at the time he disappeared. He lived in Rexburg, Idaho with his sister. His parents are Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow. And he was last seen on September 23rd, 2019, when he last was in school at Kennedy Elementary School was the last time he was seen. So let's talk about a little bit of the backstory behind their lives and what kind of led up to this whole thing. So back in 2006, Lori had gotten married to Charles. She had previously divorced Joseph, Tylee's dad, and she was now getting married to Charles, JJ's dad. And after a while, JJ was born, and they decided that they wanted to adopt JJ, as he was a part of the family. A little complicated there, but they wanted to adopt him. Well, shortly after this, they decided to move to Hawaii, where they started a small juice bar business in Hawaii. And they were there for a little bit, and then they decided to move back to Arizona, which they all picked up and left and went back to Arizona. While living there, Tylee's father, Joseph Ryan, had passed away on April 3rd of 2018 due to a heart attack. Tylee took this really hard, as she was really close with her dad. And during that time, Lori had went to a podcast about the second coming of Jesus and doomsday and the world ending and stuff, where she had met Chad Daybell. Charles had decided that he wanted to get a divorce from Lori due to her beliefs in the doomsday stuff. And she decided to take the kids for about 2 months, and she took the kids to Texas with her. And shortly after that, Charles decided not to get a divorce. He said he wanted to work on his marriage with her and raise these kids, so he didn't want to get a divorce anymore. On July 11th of 2019, Charles and Lori had, at this point, had been separated, and he came to Lori's house to pick up JJ. At the time, he got into an altercation with Lori's brother, Alex Cox. And Alex Cox ended up shooting Charles and killed him. An investigation was launched on that, and it is still open to this day, but at the time they decided to rule it as self-defense, as their story was that Alex was trying to protect himself from Charles and all that. But it is still open because they now believe that it was a pre-planned murder and attack, and they don't believe it's self-defense anymore, as they found through body cam footage that Lori and Alex's story do not match up, and they're starting to pin things a little bit together throughout their investigation, trying to find Tylee and JJ. So in August of 2019, Lori and the kids, after Charles had passed, decided to move to Rexburg, Idaho, where Lori had decided to enroll JJ into school on September 3rd, 2019. And shortly after this, they took a trip to Yellowstone National Park, and that is the last place that anybody has seen Tylee. And about 3 weeks after this, on September 23rd, Lori had unenrolled JJ out of school, saying that she wanted to homeschool him. And so the last time anybody saw him was at school on the 23rd. Let's talk about the investigation now. So JJ's biological grandparents became really worried about JJ and Tylee because they had not heard from JJ since August. And by this point, it was roughly the end of September, early October, and they were just getting concerned that they hadn't heard from JJ. And usually they talk to JJ quite a bit as they have a really close relationship with him. Upon investigation, they had found that Lori had rented out a 10x10 storage unit at the beginning of October. And they found that surveillance cameras show that her and a male that they believed to be Alex Cox had been taking things in and out of the storage locker. And they have later served a search warrant to search it, and they had found that Tylee and JJ's toys were all in there. Toys, clothes, pictures, anything that belonged to the kids, they were in that storage unit. Nothing else but their stuff. So that became a little concerning. And on October 10th of 2019, Tylee had a Venmo account, and she had sent a message to her older brother Colby, and she sent him a message saying that we love you. And then shortly after that, she sent a message with like a heart emoji. And he had became really worried at this, and he tried texting her and tried calling her. She'd never answer. She'd text back that she was too busy to answer the phone. And he just became increasingly worried that something was wrong. This isn't like her. She usually talked to her brother, and she wasn't talking to him, which was really weird for him. And on October 19th, Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell had a wife named Tammy Daybell, and her family had called 911 saying that she had passed away in her sleep. Investigators ruled her death as natural causes, and she was buried on October 22nd. And Rexburg police released that within weeks of Tammy passing away, that Lori and Chad Daybell had gotten married on November 5th. And on November 26th, the police department conducted a welfare check at this point on JJ, and Lori had answered the door and had said that JJ was not there, that he was staying at a friend's house in Arizona. Eventually, a woman by the name Melanie stepped forward and said that Lori and Chad had called her and asked her to lie about JJ's whereabouts and say that he was with her, when this wasn't true, and she refused to lie about it. So she told them the truth, that JJ had not been staying with them, and this increasingly increased the concern of these kids. They eventually found out that Tylee was also missing. They had no idea where she was at. So because of all of this, they had Tammy's body exhumed to reevaluate everything that they had said passed, just to see if there was really foul play or something was really off about this. And those results for that autopsy have never been released to the public, so we have no idea if they truly believe that she was murdered or if, you know, this was a natural caused death, which ironically was weird. When they were beginning to look into Chad and Lori, they had discovered that Chad had a wife that had just passed away, and this is what kind of prompted them to look into this a lot sooner. He also purchased a wedding ring off Amazon 17 days before Tammy even passed away, which they found very odd, and they just assumed, you know, maybe she had something to do with Tammy's death. And on December 12th, Alex Cox, Lori's brother, had passed away from blood clots in his lungs, and it was ruled as natural causes as well. And on December, I keep saying October, just so you all are aware. On December 20th, they had released it to the public that these two children were missing. JJ and Tylee were nowhere to be found. On January 25th, they had sent a court order for Lori to show the kids were well and alive and well taken care of at this point, and she had like 5 days to do it. So by the end of January, she did not present the kids at all, which prompted a arrest warrant for not for disobeying a court order, really. On February 20th, Lori was arrested and charged with 2 counts of felony non-support of a dependent child, disobeying a court order, and there was so much more. I will insert everything that she was being charged with at this time. Chad and Lori had went to Hawaii during this whole entire time, from like November after they got married to at this point to the February when she got arrested. They were in Hawaii. So she was arrested in Hawaii and she was exonerated back to Idaho. And on March 6th, she appeared in the court, where her bond was set at $5 million in Hawaii. It was brought down to $1 million. And then on March 24th, Lori had said that Tylee and Jj were possessed and became zombies. And that's why these kids were no longer with her. On April 9th, Chad and Lori were being investigated for conspiracy and of murder and attempted murder or murder for Tammy's death. Nobody has said if they've been charged at this time or not with Tammy's death yet, but they were looking into them in April. By May, Lori had went back to the court to try to appeal her charges, and she was declined, so she remains in jail on a $1 million bond. FBI began to look into phone records of Lori and Chad, and they found that Chad had made a phone call to his wife Tammy at the beginning of September saying that he had burned debris and that he also killed a large raccoon and he was burying it in their pet cemetery, which wasn't out of the ordinary, except for it was on the day after Tylee had last been seen and went missing. So it made them look into other people's phone records and that kind of stuff, and they had found that Alex Cox was also on his property that same exact day for about 2 to 3 hours on the days after the children went missing. So on September 9th and also September 24th, he was on Chad's property. So because of this, they got a search warrant for Chad's property and they had discovered human remains. After they found the remains, they ended up arresting Chad and charged him with 2 counts of concealment and altercations of evidence. And on June 10th, Chad appeared in court where his bond was set for $1 million as well. And on June 13th, it was confirmed that the human remains that they found on Chad Daybell's property was that of Jj and Tylee, which is very sad. They found that Jj was in a plastic garbage bag and his wrists and ankles were bound with duct tape, and they had found that Tylee was charred, so she was burned and dismembered. Police, like I said, police are planning on possibly charging Lori with Charles's death because they believe that she might have had some kind of involvement in that death. They also are possibly charging Chad and Lori of Tammy's death because they found it very weird as well, and they're doing an investigation on that. And on August 21st, just this last Friday, Chad had pled not guilty in the court, and they had set his bond was still set at $1 million, and they had set a court date on when his trial will begin and end. So his trial will begin on January 11th of 2021, and it'll go till January 29th of 2021. If he's found guilty, he faces 20 years in prison and a $40,000 fine. And Lori is set for her arraignment on September 10th. If she pleads not guilty, I'm sure her trial will begin shortly after his trial, maybe before his trial, who knows. But that's kind of the case. It was never really a happy ending, as we really wished it would be. And just a lot of people had lost their lives throughout this whole entire clan, and family, and it's crazy to me. I don't know. I just don't understand how somebody can do that to their children that they supposedly love. I don't know, but that is this case. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below what you think of this case and what cases I should do in the future, and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notifications so you're notified when we post every single Friday. This is KMCers, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.